some things for St. Louis, but they're older. So I was just going to use them, and then you can touch base with, fill in for anything that maybe I've missed. Would that
Yeah,
work
yeah.
for you?
Yeah,
Okay.
that will work out just great. You bet.
Okay.
Here we go.
So, I'm the help desk person that if you call the help desk, I'm usually the person that answers first. Our phones do roll, so usually, unless we're in a meeting, someone else will answer. And if I miss your call, I'm usually pretty good about calling you back. You can also reach us through the MMS team chat. You can chat us. You can email us at MMS team email group. So there's various ways that you can reach us, and that if we're in a meeting, then we will be able to get back with you sometimes right then and there. So we're going to go ahead and get started. One of the first things that we have as a new feature right now is the signal job numbers. And the signal job numbers, we now have them set up as WLs, and then the signal ID that is in TMS. So in case you were not aware of that, I know we sent out some notes about that, but just to let you know that we do have that. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. And I'm going to work in the UAT environment, so the test environment. And one of the first features that I wanted to show you was call reports. And I'm going to impersonate Anthony Archer, who's out of St. Louis. And just to give you an idea of how call reports actually work, if you have not had an opportunity to give them a try. So I'm in here as Anthony, and we have you all set up as leads, so then you don't have to have an assignment unless you're doing a K number or something and your supervisor handles that and puts that K number in for you to document against in documenting work. So I'm going to go ahead and go to documenting work here, and I'm going to go ahead and choose the 22nd as I've already kind of documented for him. He is also an evening person. So here, this is his normal schedule, so that's why you're not seeing RDIF, but I put in arterial management, the 386. He is the lead. I'm going to go ahead and click next. I'm not going to document any equipment, as we're aware of how to do that. But I do want to come in here and show you that I have selected Missouri 109, and you can see on the map where that's located. And I'm going to go ahead and zoom in here. And you'll see that the legend comes up and we have these call reports down here at the bottom. And on those call reports then, you are able that whenever you make that selection of whether it's new, pending, or scheduled, and you click on that location, you, and I found it right here on the map, that when you click that, that'll open up the call report. And you can see that I have my signal layer on, but now we have this call report that'll pop up. And it will let you select it. And when I select that, then the call report comes up and it allows you to do whatever is needed on this ticket. Okay. One of the things that several districts do is that they will copy this report. And so they'll copy this because we also have a feature that is a comment field that we have. So I'm going to go ahead and close this call report, and you can see that it has documented my location, and then this is that ID that is in TMS. So we have our area. I'm going to go ahead and click on consumable inventory, and here another feature that we have that I wanted to show you was that we have put into other expenses that if you type in S&L for signal and lighting, you will see now we have our miscellaneous non-inventory items. So these are those stock items that you have, and it's just a generic list that we took that is used most often, and you can make that selection, and now you can put in how many you used. So I'm just going to say that I've used 1. So now you have that to put in there. If there is something that's not on that list, you still have the ability to choose other expenses and put that in along with the price. Say that you went out and purchased it on your P card. It's not something that's a stock item. You still have that ability to enter that under the other expenses. So I'm going to go ahead and click next. And so you can see now there's this red mark here. Well, I want to go ahead and add my comment here. And sometimes, they'll put more details of what they did. It does have a limit of, is it 4,000? Am I correct on that?
Yeah, I think it's
Characters?
4,000 characters.
4,000
Yeah.
characters. There really isn't a need unless you're directed by your supervisor to copy and paste your report in there. There just isn't a need, but sometimes we want to reference more in there, or that you want to put that, hey, this is the 3rd time that I've had to deal with this light in the last week, or any kind of comment field that your supervisor would like for you to enter, or that you would like to enter for this this documenting work and this ticket that you've worked on. Then we will be having, or has this already been loaded to be able to attach upload a document?
Yep. You bet.
Okay, so then we have where now we have attachments, and that you are able to attach a document that maybe you have. Maybe there's pictures, maybe there's damage from property damage, that you take a picture, or any kind of documentation that you have that you want to upload. You're able to do that. So you can save it to your computer. You can click browse and then go to that. And so then that allows you to have that associated with this particular location. And then the file will show down here of the entry that you've made. I'm going to go ahead and click save. And when I click save, you'll see that these comments are loaded on here. So this will appear on the location page where we're at. And then it will also appear on our summary page. Now, on the comment field, it's entered by the lead, and it will appear on your summary page. And like I mentioned, it's a cut and paste kind of thing. So I'm going to go ahead and click done. And when I click done, now we go to our summary page. You can see here that we have the activity that we coded to. We have our 2 locations along with our call numbers, call report numbers, and then whatever documentation was wanted or needed in this comment field. You're able to click on it and see everything that applies to it. Okay, I'm going to close that. And you can also see our materials that we used. That was a non-inventory, a stock item. So is there any questions in regards to those 3 features that I've mentioned that are new? Okay, so the next feature that I would like to cover is the overtime explanation. And so that was something that was asked for, was that when you all work any overtime, that there's some form of explanation that goes with that. So I'm going to go ahead and go back in here. I'm just going to click on the 21st. I'm going to hit select, and I'm going to go ahead and put in my start and end time. I've got to move my little thing out of the way here. And I'm going to put 7 a.m. and I'm going to put to 10 a.m. and I'm going to calculate my hours. And when I do, it asks if I was required to work. Yes. So now you can see that this overtime explanation has appeared down here. I can click on this and now I can put why I was called in, and I'm just going to put windstorm um, response, signal not working. And then I can save that. And when I save that now, it is now part of this documenting work that we've done. I'm going to go ahead and choose an activity and emergency response. I'm going to go ahead and select my windstorm response and hit select. And as you can see now, I am the leader. I have my add hours and my RDIF that applies. And I also have my market adjustment that has been noted on here. I'm going to go ahead and click next. I'm going to next on through here. Oh, let me get back to my page. I tried moving someone and lost my spot here. There we go. And so now I want to document my location of, the area that I worked on. And so with this, I'm just going to go ahead and choose a beginning and end route location. And I can put traffic signals, and that will just let me choose either the signals, or I can do a route, and I can do a beginning and end. I'll go ahead and stay with traffic signals, and I'll just do a location here at 100. So when I choose that, now it's brought my area in. I'm able to put in my comment field if I want to put anything in it, and again, take pictures of any damage that maybe occurred. Um, um, Signal outage. And when I click save, my comment is there. I'm going to click done, and I'm going to click next here as I don't have any other expenses. And here it will show you your information here, but as you can see, it's not giving you the explanation of the overtime. But the supervisor, the employee can see it, but the supervisor, if I log in as a supervisor, I'm going to stop this here and I'm going to log into the supervisor. The supervisor is able to see off of the labor report that each employee has, but the supervisor has everyone listed. I'm going to go ahead and run it for my date range. And I want to go and see, I usually like to upload this to export to an Excel or to a PDF, but I know that someone did work overtime, so I can click on this plus, and as you click on the plus sign, you'll see that there's another plus sign right here. When you click on that, now you can see the comment for the explanation of why this individual worked overtime, and then also the date that was when they reported that. If you export to PDF, you should be able to have this information then available to you as well. With this, as you can see here, now you can see that my comment is also listed here. Okay. Is there any questions over the overtime explanation and how it's basically how your supervisor would like for you to add that. It's not a feature that is required. So it is just one of those that it was asked to add for signal and lighting groups, or really anyone. So now we have that available if a supervisor prefers that you put in that explanation. I have one other feature that is now available in MMS. Something that we were asked about is that at times you all may need to code to a county all, or that you used to do a county all when you're going out and checking things. Not necessarily that it wouldn't be that it was a call report or a specific location of where you're fixing something, but where you're going and running certain things that you do for signals out in the field. So with that, one thing that we did not have available is the county all number, as we had shut that down for activities in MMS. So we didn't accidentally just use that, because we really are needing specific details, I should say. So that number now that we had set up in TMS as our storage area, but that we set up for all the districts, is now going to be WL and then your two-letter district code, because really we found that no one needed it as a county, but just as your district. You know what areas you covered. And then the last three would be all. So those are the kind of these generic job numbers that were created for signal and lighting groups whenever you're going out and doing that work where you would normally code to a county all. And that just became active this week. So I got an email yesterday, and so it should be available to start using even today. If you go to submit and it's saying it's not recognizing that, it just means that it's not available yet in TRS, so you'll just need to hold off as a supervisor to hold off submitting that day until it has an overnight cycle. But it should have cycled overnight last night. If not over the weekend, I think it was actually over the weekend. It should be available now to use in TRS. So are there any questions about that generic number? Anything that we've covered yet so far this morning?
So, Sri, on that generic number again, it's very likely you guys will never use it. It was really a solution for some stuff that, St. Louis, Kansas City just had some devices they really couldn't get to, boards or stuff. So, again, we needed to do something, but it's very likely you guys might not ever use it, right? Your point locations, you've got all your stuff, your signals, your boards and everything. But we found it didn't really fit everywhere. So I appreciate, sure he was able to kind of find a solution for that. So it
Yeah.
really might be very infrequent you guys ever
And
even need
and
that.
it,
So
is there something that maybe you do annually that you put on a flash drive or something like that for updating things? Is there any kind of work that you do like that?
oh, we've already bored them to sleep.
I know.
Great.
So that is kind of when
Yeah.
I understand that there's some areas that may do some updates through flash drives, but do various locations, and instead of they may cover a whole area in a day, or they may do that for a few days and cover their whole district. So that's kind of what that generic number is for those times that it doesn't make sense to use a specific location, or that you're doing, checking of something or whatever. It can be used for lighting as well, that maybe you're going and running routes for lighting of some sort, but you're covering a lot of ground. If you're just covering, say, in the St. Louis area, for example, if they're just covering 100, then they would want to do lighting and then the beginning and end locations, selecting 100 and doing it that way. But if they're doing like lots of locations throughout an evening or something, in this case that Mr. Archer is working evenings, then it's that would be an opportunity then to use that when you're not needing true details. And then you're able to add that explanation. You're not going to be able to select that from the map. You're going to be putting that in the non-located job number location. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Michael if there's anything else that he wanted to cover, or fill in any areas that maybe I missed or that we needed a little more detail on. Just as a friendly reminder, we do have, if you click on the help, we do have information out here for MMS that we have lots of videos. You can see that the location comments is located here. Also the overtime explanation. We also have those MMS questions that maybe you have other, it goes by their Word documents that, have different scenarios on them. And then again, our MMS videos listed on here. So I'm going to go ahead and turn it back over to Michael to finish up anything else that we may need to cover.
I appreciate that, Sheree. Sheree spends so much time with, answering those questions, has done a lot of work with helping bring on our crews, particularly, with our St. Louis crew that just recently joined us. And so just value those questions and trying to keep up with those things come along. So I went out to production, and so Gary, I went ahead just impersonated you again with this arterial management. Like Sheree was saying, you can see that we are now showing all call reports that are either new, pending, or scheduled. So if I was to look at the Hannibal area, right? I mean, just looking at it, me not knowing anything, I would almost think that that's a call report there at Paris Gravel Road and 61, right? So let's say that that is where I work, just like Sheree was bringing up earlier. If I went to click at that spot, and again, you guys probably said there's no signal there. Well, notice when I clicked on it, it did not come up with a call report. So what the way we built this is that the only call reports that will load for you are the ones that are assigned to your org. So we're looking specifically, was it assigned to, Hannibal signal lighting or Macon signal lighting, or in St. Joe, their signal lighting, right? So you'll see everyone's call reports on that layer. And that could, again, we've got this on for lighting and signals. But if it's not yours assigned to your org in the call report database, it's not going to come up. So what I jumped out there, it looks like in the Northeast, when I went to the call report database, I'm not seeing any call reports for all of Northeast right now that are open, pending, or scheduling dealing with signals. Does that sound right as far as what you all are aware of? Or do you happen to know of one that might have come up here just recently and hasn't got closed yet?
I think you had the Northwest one clicked right there.
Yeah, well, yeah, when I checked earlier, if I switched
Oh, okay.
Northeast there, yeah, it was kind of the same thing. I filtered under maintenance and signals. I also filtered under traffic. I just didn't come across one in a real fast search, but it wasn't where if I didn't know if you guys happen to know of one, because I'll swing over and take a look at it.
I don't know of any
Okay,
that are
okay,
open
that's
right
awesome.
now.
I don't know of any. Yeah, I'm not sure if there was one that up at Kirksville that was
Okay, let's go take a look.
it involved a timing issue, and
Okay.
so it wasn't a repair that we had to do. It was
Right.
involved more of our traffic staff, and that there's a possibility that one might be open, but that's the only thing I can think of.
Yeah, and again, that would be another. That's a good point there, Gary. Even if it would have been assigned, say, back to the traffic staff, it wasn't to your org. Same kind of deal. You might go work on it, but unless that call report actually has your 7B, it won't come back there. So, really good
Yeah.
deal. Now, go ahead, Sheree.
On a side note, whenever that call report opens up, you are able to then do whatever you normally do with the call report. So if you are able to close them and do whatever you normally would do, this feature allows you to open that. It's connecting it to that record of documenting work, but you're killing two birds with one stone by being able to then do whatever you need to do with that call report to close it out, to document whatever, however you normally handle it, and then be able to continue documenting work.
Yeah, absolutely. And so, you know, as Sheree showed you there, when you go into document, I mean, there's all those features, the ability to add comments. And, you know, she spoke to a lot of great examples. Copy in that call report, talk about PMs, talk about your response time. It really becomes something you can document all of that. Now, as you guys know, anything in MMS is something that can be requested if we have a sunshine request. So just like anything we keep it all about the specific, what did I do? Facts, right? But I wanted to connect another dot for you, and that is I'm going to go to results. Okay. So the Northeast, you guys have been working. I just brought up the last couple months here. These are all those locations you guys have selected and worked on underneath R386. Now I'm going to hit export to Excel, because where I want to show you is that underneath the data here, you'll find you can start getting this information. We've got a couple of columns. And what I'll do, I'll go pull up St. Louis, kind of show you, but we've added a column for comments, the user's ID, is there attachments, date and time. So there's a lot of things here you can start historically following up and keeping up with for as information. So I'll show you kind of what the St. Louis group has been doing here as of recent, just to help trigger maybe some ideas or some thoughts of what might be helpful in some of your applications. And I was, and again, Sheree does this so many more times than I ever do. I just happened to have been yesterday, had a phone call from a gentleman in St. Louis. He was out on the job site. Okay, so that really, you know, tells me that they're really trying to move to this to as much as a mobile operation as possible. Okay, so here's the signals that they've touched since March 1st. All right, and so if we did the same kind of thing, export to detail there. Now, some of you might, again, maybe the result piece isn't something you look at a lot. Maybe it is something you come back. You can't always just pick a location and get a little bit of information just by clicking the map. My tendency is to do more just the export. I just think it is a little better. I get more information, you know. So I picked that location. You'll notice there's that signal right there. So pretty fast, just by picking a location, I can already tell you that's how much money was spent, labor, equipment, and if we did materials, right? Really appreciate Sherry bringing up. We've got those other expenses in there. Now that list, we built from a couple places, but if you see, hey, this approved item list item is not on there, please add it for us. It's no big deal. Shoot the note to Sherry, one of us, we can do that. But where I wanted to go with this is if I export this to Excel, you'll see the data that they're starting to put into that comments field. And not only, you know, like Sheree was showing, it's on that summary page. It's a good way for you as an employee to kind of keep up with it. But this is where I was wanting to go with you. You know, here is, let's just go look at this, an example right here. Okay, so we've got some information kind of going on here. This actually, I think that's probably Dennis Hexon. That's the supervisor there. Let's go down to here's an example right here. So here is you know, they went ahead and put a date. So they've kind of talked a little bit about some kind of formal process. You know, right now it's kind of free form, right? And I think all of this could improve in the future if we get a little bit more standardized. But you know, obviously that record has a date on it, the date that we did the work and everything, anyways. But they've done a date. You know, they've talked about what they found, a signal head hanging back up with an error. They took the head down, fixed it, reinstalled. There's that call report number. So I think pretty much, Sheree, that's kind of what they've been consistently talking to you about or talking about. See how they're just pretty consistently, if there's a call report, they're pasting in that number there. They might add a little bit more detail. You know, some things are different than others, right? So here's a prime example. Look at this one. They arrived at the location, rebooted the video and the system. This was an early on kind of request. The whole reason we built the comment feature, they were trying to track and know so that when a lawsuit happens here in a few weeks, well, such and such was killed in an intersection, we called and complained, and you guys didn't do anything. They've got the documentation. Hey, we were out there. This is the time we were out there. This is what we did. They were doing this in paper form already. And so we tried to build that into it. You'll notice that we also have a column over here about adding attachments. Okay, and I didn't even filter yet, but let's just go filter and see if we can find an example where they've added an attachment. All right, so here's some examples where they've added some attachments. So let's take like this one here, Missouri 340. They put in the call report flasher, set the MMMU, and here's the attachment they attached to it. And so this should basically load back to whatever that kind of attachment is. I do think that we're going to find some, again, some better things moving forward as we find a way to formalize this with, you know, maybe PMs, a particular checklist, you know. But for now, this is exactly what we can have our users use. They can come in here and they can attach a sheet. So if you guys are using a PM checklist, that's what you could attach to it. You could open those things up and see, sure enough, that's exactly what they did. So I think there's some really great features, some good things going on with the world of signals, arterial management, lighting. This is stuff that we're benefiting across all of MMS because we're using it. We're using this on other activities, litter pickup, pothole patching, some things there. So yeah.
May I
And
add too? So, another thing that I've heard over the years of being in maintenance is that the desire to know how often we're going to certain locations. And so, conversations that we have had with a few supervisors has been that, if we could just know, and so the results would show you that if you ran it for a date range, it will show you on that report how many times you went to that location, and you would be able to filter by that and identify that, hey, we keep having the same problem over and over and over again, and at what point do we just replace it? We've spent this much money on this location. What do we need to do? And so then it leads to that being more proactive. That is this a way to set up something that will then indicate and get you all in the future to have replacement kind of things, or to see when there's issues after issues at the same location, and to finally make that management decision of when to replace something. When there's continuous problems, what do we need to do? So I think in the future we'll see more of that happening, of being more proactive and doing more maintenance than we do of constantly doing these call reports. We're only going out there when there's a problem versus us doing it beforehand. And so I think that's been a desire that's been out there for quite some time, and hopefully as we move forward with signal and lighting and really finding your business needs, that those are features that you know, we can figure out along the way and work together. So, you know, we do offer suggestions and things like that, that as we work through, it could be something that may be an enhancement that we can fit into MMS and get that into our work area. Other features may be something that we had no idea that was a thought that could possibly work in the future, and it could maybe even be something that is a future phase. We do have our developers that, you know, as we work through problems and things like that, you know, they're available, but then they also are part of our team where, you know, that we can work with them for enhancements and those kinds of things. So keep that in mind as we're building the signal and lighting area and the needs and wants. And those wants are usually things that are, you know, in the future, some kind of future phase that we could possibly do.
So, any questions? Ben, Gary, Danny, Michael? Anything else that you can think of there, or thoughts now that we provoked, or Joseph?
What what Sherry had been showing earlier when she talked about the generic number. Yeah, I didn't catch what that was.
So that is a non-located job number. You would put it in the non-located job number. And what it is at a time, and let me just go ahead and share my screen, and I will go to, I'm going to go to MMS UAT here. And I'm going to go ahead and impersonate Mr. Anthony again here. And what it is that if at some point that it does not make sense to add, I'm just going to do it on lighting here, that it doesn't make sense to choose a specific location or even a beginning and end location for the activity that you're doing, and say that this individual is just running various routes throughout his area in St. Louis, that he's just running various routes and he's checking different locations for whatever reason. Maybe it's updating boards or something like that with a flash drive. I think there was some area that they were interested in having that ability. So if that is the case, and I don't have, you know, I've bounced all over the place, and it just doesn't make sense for me to make that selection of all of these places whenever I really don't have a specific location for lighting that I've worked on or checked on or anything like that. That's when you would enter this location of a non-located job number. So it is WL, and then it would be the location would be your district. So for them, it would be St. Louis, and then you can see for all. So he was doing a large area, and now you can see that it comes up as a non-located job number. I can put materials, but there is no materials because I was just running routes. And I can also now put in my comment field that running routes, checking for maybe outages, just something generic. And now he can even upload if there's certain things that he needs to upload far as a report or anything like that. And then he can click save. And when he saves, now he has that. Does that answer your question, Gary?
Yes, absolutely. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah. So I'm hoping that at times that, we didn't do it by county because they really said, we don't need that much detail. All we need to know is that we did this activity. I've put in my comment of what I've done, but I just want a generic number to apply it to because I did so many various locations and I don't need the detail for that. But keep in mind that we are federalizing these activities. So if we are working on specific locations, specific signals or lighting areas, we want to be able to capture that. It is at 100% reimbursement by federal highway to maintain our signals and our lighting. So it's really important that if we are able to record the detail that the feds require, then we want to do that, including adding our expenditures. So any other expense when it comes to those stock items or something that you had added to a P card, we want to be able to have that detail in there, or that it's a consumable inventory item. And then what we're able to do, that's our backup data. Whenever we request reimbursement, which is automatic, it's done on a weekly basis, so we get that reimbursement right away, that if we are ever audited, then the feds can look at what's in MMS as our backup data, and they can see we've documented everything that is required. The people that did the work, the location that we used, or that we went to, the equipment that we used, and any materials that we also had. And so with that, at 100%, that's a big plus. That's money that before we started to federalize, we weren't getting back. So now we're able to capture that in MMS and get reimbursed for those expenditures, that expense to do that work. Any questions about federalizing? Okay, I'm going to turn it back over to Michael if there's anything else, Michael, that you had that you wanted to share, or any other questions out there?
Okay, the next thing that we are working towards is we are working on the process to be able to request leave through MMS. Probably going to be early fall before it actually happens, but basically, if you guys did that process before with TRS, some use that before, it'd be very similar to that. So you can put in a request for a set of dates, goes to your supervisor. Supervisor has the ability to approve that, deny that. If they approve it, basically it just loads right into assigning work, moves right on along to that process. So I think there'll be some nice functionality, but again, probably early fall.
And if you had others that joined with you in this call, if you could put their names in the chat, that would be helpful. Not sure if you all went into a conference room and only one of you logged in, but if that's the case, go ahead and add their names to the chat so we can see others that maybe had attended this new feature coverage that we did. And if you are the person and you can share this information with your coworkers, that's very much appreciated. And again, reaching out if you have questions, something's not working right as to how you thought that it should, anything like that. It just helps us be able to make sure that we're getting this training out to everyone. So that's helpful to the MMS team and myself.
All right. So again, thank you, Sheree. Appreciate that so much. Thank you all for joining us today. If there's anything you need or can need help with, please give us a call. Let us help out. Dawn?
Michael, I just wanted to say that we are still having an issue with Gary and Mike's timesheets. Jennifer went in last week after we were told that we were added as timekeepers. She tried to approve Gary's. I tried to approve Michael's. It wouldn't allow us. So I talked to Marissa Christie Kearns, and she said that she'd added us as timekeepers. It had to roll over that night, which was either Wednesday or Thursday. Forgive me, I don't remember which night. So Jennifer went back in on Friday and it's still giving the error. She didn't do anything. And then yesterday I went in and it's still giving me the error on Michael. But yet we are timekeepers. So is there something that Marissa needs to do to clear it? Because it still says the org doesn't exist.
Right.
So did you all click it twice? Like you have to click the first one kind of refreshes that message, and then the second time that you click submit, it will usually go through.
Okay.
Did you click twice
No, I
before
did not.
leaving the page?
No.
I would try that because sometimes that's the thing. When it's a TRS error, it usually requires you to click submit twice because it doesn't clear that message. It's not like an MMS message where you fix it, you hit that refresh, and that message goes away and you know that it's taken care of. TRS, it's sending us back the message, kind of like those messages that you get in TRS. You have to click it twice in TRS directly for those things to go away. If not, I will work with Marissa to have her maybe get with Chad, because there isn't anything in MMS that I can think of, unless Michael can, to fix that issue. You know, you can't even do an override for, say, Jennifer in MMS, because it would override her SL5 down to a 4. So, you know, you
Right.
can't there. I don't see anything in MMS that is causing the problem. It's got to be something in TRS that maybe is the issue. It could be a box that's checked or something of that sort. We don't see TRS. We don't
Right.
see
Yep.
any of that or on the profile. So it's hard for us to say of what the issue is. So she may need to get with the TRS group to identify what that issue may be.
Okay.
So
But we're both supposed to impersonate Jonathan and then go in and do it. We are doing that correctly, right?
you
You
should
know,
even be able to go in as yourself and choose the
Yeah.
change area and be able to do that.
Okay, well, I
Yeah.
will try that first, and then if that doesn't work, I'll try to impersonate Jonathan like we did before. And then
Right.
if it doesn't work, I'll send you an email so you can get with Marissa
Yeah, just keep
later this week.
replying to that one that we've been working on, that email that's kind of been going back and forth. That way we know it's the same issue, if you
Okay.
would. Okay.
Thank you.
Uh-huh.
All right. Y'all have a great day. Take care of yourselves. Thank you. Let us know if we can help out in any way. See ya.
Thank you, everyone.
Okay, thank you.